Welcome to Muffin Talk. Kia ora and welcome to Muffin Talk. This program is brought to you by the initiative Titipounamu, Study and Joy. My guest today is Charles Grinter. Kia ora, Charles, and warm welcome to Haere Mai to Muffin Talk.
Kia ora.
Charles Grinter is the area president of the North Auckland Council for the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. On the 27th of September, we are celebrating the feast day of St. Vincent de Paul. Charles, who was St. Vincent de Paul?
St. Vincent de Paul was an extraordinary French priest who lived between 1581 and September the 27th, 1660. He was, at one stage, he was captured by pirates and spent some years as a galley slave. And he had quite a transformation in his life from being a chaplain to wealthy families to suddenly realizing, in his own words, that we go to the poor and we will meet God. So the whole thing, his whole motive in life was then to do two things: to educate the clergy, because in the 16th century they had the same problem that some suggest we have, which is clergy need education. And so, for instance, the New Zealand seminaries for many years until very recently were run by Vincentian priests of the Congregation of the Missions. The other thing he did was he founded an order of women, the Daughters of Charity. In both cases, he really focused hard on going to the poor, being with the poor, and as priests also had to study to go and run seminaries and to educate clergy. He was quite an extraordinary man and has had a huge impact throughout the ages. For those who read the Office of Readings, at any time the Office of Readings for his feast day, there's a very lovely reading of his there about the poor, well worth reading.
So did he found the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, or was it named after him? And
the Society of St. Vincent de Paul was formed in 1837 by 7 young men who were students at the Sorbonne in Paris. Its president, the first president general of the society, was Emmanuel Bailey. And then there was Paul Lamarche, Letalende, Francois Lallier, Jules Devaux, Félix Clavé, and Blessed Frederick Osnam. Blessed Frederick Osnam tends to have the publicity when it comes to the founding, but it was a conference that founded it, and they were led very much by the extraordinary, or their spiritual director was a daughter of charity, Blessed Rosalie Rendu. And one of her great sayings to them that really influenced them was, always be kind and love. The poor will always remember your kindness and love long after they've forgotten the material things you give them.
oh, that's wonderful.
Words to that effect.
And do you feel, because you are very involved not just in the organization of St. Vincent de Paul, but also actively giving support to the poor, do you feel that they also say the smile stays longer than the food?
Yes, but I think Frederick Osnam himself had very much the attitude that you only really find out about what the poor need by going and talking to them and sitting in the coldness of their garret and suffering what they suffer with them. We're not a society, as a rule, that sets up a centre and people come to us. We don't set up specialist workers. Our main job is to actually go out 2 by 2 and actually visit those who are in need. It's not just Catholics, it's anybody at all who's in need. We don't care about.
Can you give us an example if somebody needs help and they approach St. Vincent de Paul Society? How does it work? How is the procedure?
It differs a little bit from conference to conference, and we have 6 conferences in the North Auckland area. Depending on the number of people and the conference has and who's available to do what at what time, but generally 2 people Well, somebody will normally ring the person or have an email conversation with them and find out a bit about their needs, where they live, how many people are in the household. Two of us will go out and visit that person, and normally the reality of how we operate at the moment is we'll receive a request for a food parcel, and that will be the beginning of the discussion. Sometimes we'll end up delivering a food parcel in an emergency situation, and we'll have nothing more to do with that particular household. That's all they needed. Other times, and more regularly, they'll come back again. We keep talking to them. We find out what they need. Sometimes when there's an ongoing need, um, well, our conference in Beachhaven, we'll put them onto a weekly bread run. Um, but again, all these things, you always have to keep checking. Do they need this? Is this what their need is now? And do they still need it? It might have been their need 6 months ago, but is it still their need now? That's always a question we have to ask.
So you have a constant conversation so that when you say a food parcel, it's not that everybody gets exactly the same thing. You
No,
deliver according to what their specific need is.
well, and what we have,
Hmm.
um, different conferences do it differently. There is one conference that has a lot of food parcels that they deliver, and they have a more standardized food parcel, which includes some meat and occasionally fresh vegetables. We ourselves deliver non-perishable foods, and sometimes we're able to give a gift certificate to somebody to go and spend at a supermarket to top up with fresher foods. Yes, it depends on the situation for the conference.
And how long have you been involved? Have you seen any changes, any differences to when you started to today?
The people who ask for it are generally speaking the same people as always, people who, for whatever reason, are desperately in need of food right now.
Mhm.
And there can be all sorts of reasons for that. There are other things we help with as well. School expenses. People can get their power bills way out of kilter or for some reason, or their car really breaks down. And if you've got a family of kids in Auckland, you need a car. And that paying the car bill often means they just don't have money for anything else. Then they've got rent to worry about, utilities to worry about, food to worry about. So if we can help with any of those, we do. Again, it depends on each conference and how financially flush they are at the time.
If
So I'd
one
say
conference has more and the other has less, is there a way that you can help each
that's
other from conference to conference?
that's the point of the area council. So when we meet, we try to redistribute each conference's resources. Usually that means that the area council gives money from its accounts to the conferences that are really short of funds. Sometimes the conference may have a lot of funds, in which case, under our rule, they're encouraged to pass that up to the area council, their surplus. Although I have found in my long experience, because I've been with St. Vincent de Paul about 25 years, I
Oh.
found that the trickle up theory works about as efficiently as the trickle down theory does.
So, but at least the people who donate food or money to St. Vincent de Paul, they know that it goes to the right place because
I
you
did.
have the different controls in place and it's you know what you're doing.
Our rule explicitly says that we are not permitted to hoard money or goods. It goes to people who are in need. Yes, sometimes we'll get ripped off by somebody who perhaps was not in as much need as they made out, but that's life, and it's better to have given to somebody who may have been in need than not to have given to somebody who was in need.
Can you tell us a little story of somebody on an experience that really made it all worthwhile, all the effort and time that you're going through?
Well, there's a lot of those stories. There was one occasion where we were delivering a food parcel to a household, and the 10-year-old girl took the food parcel and was, while we were talking to the mum, was busily packing it away in the different cupboards because there were a few children in the household. We'd put in a packet of toothbrushes that had been donated to us, and she came up to her mum showing the toothbrush and said, "Look, mummy, I can have my own toothbrush. And so that really impacted, particularly upon my colleague. She was pretty moved by that. But other things, there's a family who have a number of young children, and recently the mother has just given birth to yet another child. And as she explained to me, we really like having babies, but the child was cesarean at 33 weeks. And so the child is still in hospital, and the mother is traversing between hospital and the house, and the dad is looking after the kids to the best of his ability. So, there are those things, and we only know about those things and can be available to help if they want help by having that ongoing relationship with them.
What kind of support would you like from people if somebody says, I'd like to support St. Vincent de Paul Society of St. Vincent de Paul? What would you say to the person?
Well, the first thing is, if they're in a Catholic context, I ask for prayer, because the power of prayer is really important. Secondly, if they've got time and are able to assist, bread deliveries, food parcel, or being part of a visiting team and actually going and visiting people. That's really hard for those of us who have jobs. We, it's not really that easy. It's also difficult now that I'm retired, it can be quite difficult getting out during the day to do that, but that's something that's good to do. And then finally, there's always physical assistance if they can donate money to us. We have a bank account. Or else if they would be able to bring along food for the food bank, that would be really wonderful as well. And people often ask, well, what sort of things should I bring to a food bank? And I always say, think about what you would buy for your household and the things you need to run your household on a day-to-day basis for a week. That's the stuff we need. But make it non-perishable. We don't have fridges or freezers.
Thank you so much, Charles, and I wish you all the best in the society. And let's see that you can continue helping people and making them independent, because I think that's the goal also, that you help them to help themselves in the end, isn't it?
Yes. Then again,
You
it's
never
what's
know.
needed for people at a particular time. So I
Yeah.
said to somebody recently, there are a lot of people who have very low incomes. If you're on the minimum wage and you've got a family of four, you can pay your rent, pay your utilities, pay your school expenses, pay your vehicle expenses, and then you simply don't have enough money to buy all the food that your family needs for the week.
Mm.
So those families quite often will they'll come to us one week, to another food bank the next, then another food bank the next week, just topping up their
Mm.
food supplies from food banks so that they can survive.
Mm.
And that can go on for a year or two. Um, Hopefully families get better than that, but it all depends. If there's massive rounds of redundancies or something, it doesn't work that way.
Thank you so much, Charles, and all the best.
Thank you.
Out there, heroic peace is calling. In the bonds of love we meet. For the world, a new day dawning and shining.